الرحمن علم القرآن.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to a new video. I am Bilal Ayub. Today we are going to start lesson number 3. This is our first video of lesson number 3. And in this lesson, we'll talk about Harakat symbols. These things are called Harakat in English. Harakat is plural for Haraka, and they are called symbols in English. So to pronounce a sound of a letter, we need a sign on that letter. So like for example, this one, the letter we know is called Alif, but to get a sound from this letter, we need to put a sign on this letter. So this one, for example, it sounds A with this sign, and with the other sign it sounds E, and here it is O. So the first sign, two of them, the first two signs, they both look the same, but the difference between the two is that one is on top of the letter and the other is at the bottom. So the first one on top of the letter is called Fatha. This sign, this symbol is called Fatha, and the same sign, if it is under the letter, it is called Kasra. So one is Fatha, the other is Kasra. And that last sign on top of the letter, that is called a Dhamma. Dhamma. So these are the three signs, three harakats, three symbols. The first is a Fatha, the second is a Kasra, and that last one is a Dhamma. Now, the question is that why do we need these symbols? So we need these symbols because every time when you read a letter, there are different possible signs for that letter. Like for example, with these three symbols, this letter Ta has three different sounds. The first is Ta, the other is Ti, and that last one is Tu. So we don't know, without the signs, we don't know whether to say Ta, Ti or Tu. So that is why we need these symbols, so that we can read it accordingly. So all these three symbols, they have their own different sounds. So when you read a letter, remember that whenever you read a letter with a sign, the first sound will be the sound of that letter, and the last sound will be the sound of that sign. For example, this one here, if we read it with the sign Fatha, it sounds Jim Fatha Ja. So first you have to know how to spell the letter, because you need to spell the letter with that sign. So that is how you spell it. First you read the letter and then you read the sign. Like for example, Jim Fatha, and it sounds Ja. So because the sound of the Fatha is the A sound at the end. As I said, the first sound will be the sound of the letter, and last sound will be the sound of the sign. So the sound of Fatha is the A sound at the end. The sound of Kasra is the E sound at the end, and the sound of Dhamma is the O sound. So there are basically three sounds: A, E, and O. So you have to like add the letter sound before the sign. For example, Jim Fatha, it sounds Ja. Jim Kasra is Ji, and Jim Fatha would be Jo. So the first sound in all these is the same. It's the Jim sound, because the first sound, as I said, will be the sound of the letter. So the first sound is the same in all these three letters, Ja, Ji, Ju, but the last sound is different. That sound after Jim, Ja, that is different. Ji, Ju. So the first sound is the Jim, but the last sound is different because the letter is same. This is why the first sound is similar, but the signs are different, and that's why the last sound is different. Ja, Ji, and Jo. So Now let's spell them. So the first letter, well, this letter is not alif anymore. Now this is interesting. It is not alif anymore because remember that alif does not have a sign. Alif, if it has a sign on it, it turns into Hamza. So this letter will be called Hamza now. And the reason to call it Hamza is that if you remember, I told you in the first lesson that in Arabic alphabets there is a letter which does not have a sound, and that is alif. So alif does not have a sound. Alif can just stretch the sound of the previous letter. But now here, this letter, it has a sound. So it is a. It sounds a. So a is the sound of a fatha. So when alif has a sign on it, a symbol on it, it turns into Hamza, and it turns into Hamza because when it has a sign on it, then it has a sound. So basically, because of the sound it has now, this is why it is called Hamza. So remember, alif is always without the symbol, without the haraka, but if it has a haraka on it, it will be called a Hamza. So this letter is Hamza. So that is how you spell it. As I said, first you will read the letter and then the sign. So let's just spell it. It's alif, fatha, and then you say it without spelling a. That's how you spell Hamza with a fatha. Hamza, fatha, a. And now let's spell the other one. Hamza, kasra, and without spelling it is e. So Hamza, kasra, e. And that last one is Hamza, dhamma, u. And if you read it without spelling, this would be a, e, u. So that is how you say without spelling. And with spelling, you just first read the letter and then the sign. So a, e, u. That's how you say without spelling. Now let's spell the other one, the other letter. The letter is Hamza. So let's spell it. It's ba, fatha, ba. So now this sound will not change because the sound of fatha, as I said, is the a sound at the end. So if the a sound is already there in the letter sound, so you don't have to change it. But if the a sound is not there, then you have to change. So like here, there is the a sound in ba. When you say ba, there is already that a sound. So you don't have to add it. So it's ba, fatha, ba. But here in this letter, it's Jim. So the letter is called Jim. There is no A sound at the end. So this will change to like Jim, Fatha, Ja. So here we have to add that A sound because the A sound is not there already in the letter sound. So it's Ba, Fatha, Ba. And this one is Ba, Kasra, B. Ba, kasra, B. And that last one is ba, dhamma, bu. Ba, dhamma, bu. Without spelling, it's ba, bi, bu. Ba, bi, bu. And the third letter, it's ta, fatha, ta. Ta, fatha, ta. Ta, kasra, ti. Ta, kasra, ti. Ta, dhamma, tu. Ta, dhamma, tu. Ta, ti, tu. Ta, ti, tu. Without spelling, it's ta, the other is ti, and that last one is tu. So all three of them together is ta, ti, tu. And this one, it's tha, fatha, tha. Tha, kasra, thi. Tha, dhamma, thu. Without spelling, tha, thi, thu. It's jim, fatha, ja. Jim, kasra, ji. Jim, dhamma, ju. Ja, ji, ju. It's ha, fatha, ha. Ha, kasra, hi. Ha, dhamma, hu. Ha, hi, hu. So they all sound the same. So if you read different letters with the same sign, you just have to change the first sound, because you know the first sound is the sound of the letter, so that will change, but the last sound will not change. For example, this one, that's a, because of Hamza it is a, but the other one is ta, because the letter is different, so the first sound will change, but the last sound will remain same, ta. That last one, the third one is ja, and that one is kha, that one is the. So that this is how you read different letters with fatha, like a, ta, ja, kha, la, ra, fa, sha, sa. And with kasra, again the last sound will remain same, but the first sound will change. So here the letter is Hamza, so it is a. With the different letter ta, this would be t, that is g, that is khi. So e, b, t, g, khi, li, si. That is how you read different letters with kasras. And this one here, the first one is u, because of the Hamza, because a, e, u is the sound of the Hamza. So it's u, but the other one is tu, because the first sound will change because of the letter. The letter is ta, so this would be tu. Here the letter is jim, so this would be ju. The letter is kha, so it would be ju. So u, khu, tu, lu, shu, ru, mu, fu. That is how you read different letters with different signs. Okay, that's it for today. We'll see you inshallah in the next video. Till then, take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.